DNC family, I hope all is well. Emma Ansah here, coming to you live from the Great White North, Canada. And it is hump day, so we are chugging through the week. Anyhow, I hope everybody's well. I see that we have some new members, so I just want to acknowledge some new members. Hey, Isaiah 7979, Raymond Houston 24, Kwabi Fife. I hope I said your name right. We've got Adina Moultrie and Dexter Smith. Welcome to the ADNC family. Thank you so much for joining me today. To those that have not downloaded the African Diaspora News Channel app yet, please do so. Head over to your Google or Apple store, download the app. I promise you, you will not be disappointed. Beautiful, exclusive content, just wonderful things. So make sure you download that app. Also, I do have a YouTube channel as well, Truth and Black Excellence with Emma Ansah. So if you want, you could also subscribe to me. So today's topic. So I've been seeing more and more the folks, white women who have been in relationships with Black men and they have babies from Black men and they are reaching out to Black women online, on social media, asking for help, asking for tips. And I've been seeing more and more of that. And I came across a video by this sister who goes by the name of Proud Black Woman. And her brand is really about encouraging Black women to be open to other races and not just put all of your eggs in the Black man basket. And I feel like as a result of that, more of the folks are reaching out to her and feeling like, oh, hey, you're an ally, maybe you can give me some tips. So a white woman reached out to her and asked for tips. And I found her response really interesting. So I thought that we will first look at her response and then we'll look at some data to see if what she's saying is true within her response. And we'll also look at just Black fathers in general and try to really dissect this kind of a myth and stereotypes I feel that goes along with Black men that can sometimes be unfair. So first, let us just listen to what she has to say, and then we'll talk some more.
She says, as a white woman raising biracial kids alone, I hope to be more educated, inclusive, and actively anti-racist than others who look like me. What other tips do you have for moms like me who want to celebrate our kids' Blackness without being Black? I don't have any tips for you. I don't have a single tip for you because, in my opinion, you should have thought about that before having the biracial child to begin with. As a Black woman, I don't give white women tips on how to raise their biracial children. That's not my job. That's something that y'all should think about before you lay down with Black men. And like you just said, it sounds like you're raising your biracial kids by yourself, which proves my point. Black men abandon y'all the same way they do us. But you probably thought that he wouldn't because you were white. And now you get to see what Black women go through. Okay? So my only tip would be you should have listened to your daddy. There's my tip.
Okay, so I want to play that again, but I also want to I'm going to stop in between. I just wanted to play it in its entirety first so y'all could see what she's saying. And then I want to just run it back and I'm just going to basically talk about the things that I agree with and then talk further about those that I'm not particularly on side with. So let us roll it back again. Hey, Rayvon, nice. Thank you for joining.
She says, as a white woman raising biracial kids alone, I hope to be more educated, inclusive, and actively anti-racist.
Hold it. Hold up. Wait a minute. This woman said she wants to be more inclusive and anti-racist. So to me, that suggests that she is identifying herself as being racist. So this speaks to this growing narrative, right, that I am always talking about, is just because you have babies or you are a black man, it doesn't mean you're not racist. So sometimes what happens is these women will get involved with black men, not think about, if you have babies and all that, and maybe perhaps they start to see their racism through the lens of having black babies. They start to really like, oh, wait a second, I think I am racist. So to me, that statement right there suggests that she realizes that she is racist. And now she's looking to us for help. Let us continue.
Than others who look like me. What other tips do you have for moms like me who want to celebrate our kids' blackness without being black? I don't have any tips for you. I don't have a single tip for you because, in my opinion, you should have thought about that before having the biracial child to begin with.
And that's a lot of times they don't think about those things when they decide to swirl, right? When they decide to be with a black man, they don't think about the long term, things that can happen when you have babies and, whether they want to believe it or not, their child will be identified as a black person. So their lived experience will be different from that, their mama who is not black. And they don't think further. So now they're in this situation and they want help. Let us continue.
As a black woman, I don't give white tea women tips on how to raise their biracial children. That's not my job.
And more black women are saying this when the folks are reaching out to them asking for help, asking for tips. They're like, I can't help you. You're on your own.
That's something that y'all should think about before you lay down with black men. And like you just said, it sounds like you're raising your biracial kids by yourself, which proves my point. Black men abandon y'all the same way they do us.
I'm going to expand more on the abandoning of black men because I feel like there's some stereotypes there that the data doesn't back up.
But you probably thought that he wouldn't because you were white.
Boom. So, we see a lot of the folks that will be on social media talking about you black women don't know how to treat your man. That's why I have your man. That's why we get your man, because I do this and I do that and I show him love and I listen to him and I do all of the things you black women don't do. And that information is fed to them by some black men. And they go and they carry it along. A lie can travel further than anything in the world and faster. So I just wanted to comment on that as well.
And now you get to see what black women go through. Okay? So my only tip would be you should have listened to your daddy. There's my tip.
So when she closes off by saying you should have listened to your daddy, that would suggest to me that how some of the folks will take their black man home and their parents are like, no, 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 you cannot date him. Don't bring him back here. We don't want any N words here. So I think she's saying, you should have listened to your father. Your father probably told you stay away from these black men. So she's saying that's my tip for you. Now let's talk about the the part about the folks who are with black men. I'm going to use my personal experiences. For example, I have 4 brothers. 3 of them are married to the folks, and their biracial babies have curly spirally hair. And I've been in situations where I've tried to help that woman. I gave her tips, my brother's wives. I give them tips about how to care for their daughter's hair. And one would be met with argument saying, well, Emma, her hair is not like yours. Oh, her hair is not like yours. I would be saying, the folks try to keep the oil out of their hair. right? They're washing when they get the greasies, as they call them, they're washing the oils out. We need the oils in. So when I'm trying to explain, her hair requires oil because her hair is of a mixed race. Okay. I would get all kinds of arguments. Then you have the ones who just have them walking around with the driest hair. And I'll be like trying to say something. Oh, I just gave up. I just gave up. I can't be bothered. So even when you try to give them tips, they're not trying to listen to it. Okay. Experience that. But again, these are things that they just don't think about, right? They don't think about those things. Now, as it relates to the Black father, I'm doing some research here, and I see that they say that a substantial, and this is from the CDC and Pew, it shows that a substantial number of Black fathers do live with their children, 59 to 60%. So, this whole thing about, oh, Black men abandon their kids is not factual based on the data. And this means they actually do share a home with whomever their partner is. Among Black fathers who don't live with their children, many still remain engaged. Visits, meals, the shared custody and all that other stuff, right? So all of this idea that all Black men abandon their kids is not true. I have several friends who are Black men, and all of them, even if they're not with the woman anymore, regardless of the race of the woman, they're there for their children. So it's I this whole abandonment thing is not actually factual. It's a stereotype, and based on the data, it says the stereotype that Black dads don't stick around stick around is promoted by some stats that don't measure involvement, only living arrangements, and some that ignore context like incarceration, systemic inequity, and economic barriers that reduce living together but don't mean a lack of care. It also says mass incarceration disproportionately removes Black men from homes, but that's not abandonment by choice, right? So, I'm not going to lie here and say that all Black men who are incarcerated aren't there because they did something wrong, but that doesn't mean they abandon their child. They still want to see their child. I know some moms bring their child to visit their daddy and all that other stuff. So this says research on father involvement shows Black dads who are present are non-resident are often highly engaged. So all of this talk about Black men being abandoned, it's not necessarily true. More data. It says, now this is true. It says white women married to Black men have higher divorce or separation rates than white marriages. That's true. A study found that 44% of white women who are married to Black men are divorced by 12 years in, compared to lower rates for same race white couples, right? So one research also supports the pattern that interracial marriages overall, especially involving Black and white pairs, are likelier to end in disillusion. So, yes, these relationships do end more with the interracial, but the daddy isn't necessarily abandoning his child. So, we have to stop that stereotype. I do not agree. Now, I think a lot of times people will go on their social media and say this without having the data. They're saying it based on maybe lived experience, or maybe they know some people, or they know people who know people, or they have friends whose dads are not involved in their kids' life, but it's not as large as people say. Remember, I just said 50, what did I say? I said 59 to 60%. Black dads are still involved. So, I just think that we need to be careful when we're saying that kind of thing. Now, I also want to back it up with some other videos that I came across with Black dads, because we all want to say Black dads or deadbeat dads, and it's just not factual. It's not. So I found this video of a Black man who was praying with his son before he went into school. And I thought, okay, here's a nice, wonderful Black father who probably understands the reality of a Black child in the systemic racist education system that we have all been subjected to. So he is saying a wonderful prayer with his son before his son enters school. I thought that was absolutely beautiful to see. Okay. Beautiful to see. And then we have this dad who son is a partier, right? His son's in a club, 21 years old. And we all know when our kids get to a certain age, we can't say nothing to them, legally, even. Like we have no rights to tell them what to do. His son's 21, his son's partying. Look at what this dad did.
Where's your son at? We're out here preaching the gospel. I'm a Christian. What's your name?
Chris.
So your son's partying, but you're out here to just support him, like to take him home?
Yeah.
Wow. Do you want him out here?
Not really, but he's 21. I was 21 once, and I know how it is. So just make sure he's safe and make sure he gets home safe.
You're a great father, bro. That's love, that's mercy. Do you tell him like that it's not a good life and all that stuff, like to be out here?
Yeah, we all walk that path at some point, you know what I mean? So I don't want to be like beating him up too much for like being human, because I know at some point he'll get it out of his system and then he'll want a better life. So, you know, just try to guide him and make sure he's doing it the right way, you know what I mean? Drinking and driving, not doing crazy stuff. Like, all right, if I'm here, like I at least know he can get home safe.
Like, I actually respect that a lot. And I'll tell you, like preach the gospel to him, man. Let him know about Jesus. People think that being a Christian is boring, but it's actually the best thing you could ever do, bro. So I would say preach the gospel to him, pray for him, man. Pray that your son would encounter God. What's his name?
Chris.
Pray for him right now. So Father, in Jesus' name, this is not coincidence, Lord. Thank you for Chris Sr., who loves his son and is out here sacrificing time to make sure he doesn't drink and drive. And Lord, we just pray for Chris Jr., that he would encounter your love, Lord, to believe the gospel, be born again, that his father would even preach to him, Lord, the gospel and just be wise about it, wise as a serpent, gentle as a dove, and begin praying for his son even more. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. God bless you, man.
God bless you.
You're a great father, bro.
You see that? So he's like, you know what? My son is out here. I'm going to make sure that he's safe. So he stood outside the club. That is another very present Black father. Okay. And then we have this one really touched my heart. I have to say, this one really touched my heart because we're talking about mass incarceration. We're talking about Black men in jail and how they can't be present in their children's life. And I came across this video of, daughters who came to the prison and they had like a daughter father dance. And a lot of these fathers, it was the first time seeing their daughters, and it just really touched my heart. So let's look at this.
You know I got you, baby girl.
Tell her how much I love her and tell her I apologize for all the years I missed in her life, and I hope she forgive me, and I'll make it up to her with this dance. She's 17 and I've been gone 15 years. She means everything. She means my world, man. I even put my life on the line for my daughter, man.
I just thought that was so beautiful. Like, listen, they may be in prison for whatever reason. We know for sure that there are many cases of wrongful convictions and stuff like that, but they're behind bars. And then some of them, well, they committed crimes. Okay, we can't discount that. But I still love the fact that they were really doing this, and they wanted to see their daughters, and some of them met their daughters for the first time. And yeah, they're behind bars, but you know what? I am pretty sure that these men appreciated being able to see their children, appreciated, spending time with them and bonding with them. And I'm sure that by the grace of God, if they get out of there, they will live a different life for their kids. So my point of saying all of this is just going back to the folks for a second that have had babies with Black men and are looking to Black women to help them. The only people that I really feel sorry for are the kids. So when somebody that has a child or children with a Black man and they're trying to do raise the black babies or biracial babies by themselves, I would be willing to give them some tips. But at the same time, I'm not going to wrong any sisters who say, I'm not helping you. That's, you chose to lay down with this man. That's your business. You guys are out here trashing black women on a regular basis, talking about how you know better and you can do better with these black men. And I know how to treat these black men better than you. You black women are to this and to that. They're like, oh, your problem. I'm just going to go ahead and mind my business, drink my water, eat my popcorn, watch Netflix, and chill. That's your business. And that's a lot of what's happening now. But me personally, I care about the babies. So I would give some tips. I certainly would. But that's me. But at the end of the day, a lot of the folks who decide that they want to swirl, it's really important that you educate yourself about your children, because the bottom line is, and I will say it again, and I say this moreover, their lived experience, their life, how they're going to be perceived, the reception that they will get will be different from you. It will never, ever be equal. So you have to make sure you educate yourself about Black history, Black culture, blackity, black, because your children are going to be identified as Black, especially if you, like this woman, talking about being anti-racist, and she wants to learn to be anti-racist or not a racist or whatever. She's identified herself as being racist, okay? So it's very important that you educate yourself, because we know there are a lot of biracial kids that are on social media begging for the swirling to stop, because they know what they're going through and it's not great. So y'all need to think about that. You really do. You can't just be like, oh, I just love that Black man. I love Black men. They're so beautiful. Yes, they are. I agree. And they're so hot and all that other stuff. And that's all you're thinking. You're not thinking beyond hot. And then you have your fairy tale wedding, and then you have babies, and the reality starts happening. So you need to educate yourselves. Super important. And like I said, I'd be more than happy to give you tips, but not all Black women will. So you can't keep running to Black women for help. And by the way, just out of curiosity, to the folks that are actually out here asking like widely for Black women to help, what about the family members of the Black man that you got involved with? What about his side? What about grandma and grandpa and auntie and uncles? And are they not there to help you? I'm just curious, because they're all on social media, or not all, but there are a lot on social media. So I just this is just a question I'm putting out there. Like, what happened to the family? Just wondering. Now let's see what you guys are all saying here. All right. So, hey, Rayvon, thanks so much for joining. You said you've seen this creator before. Oh, yeah, she's got a fairly large platform, and she's always talking about Black men and the deficiencies of Black men, and the importance of casting your net wide. She talks about her own personal life, and that she dates all different races and what have you, and she's a strong advocate for it. Uh, I don't understand what you mean, Kevin. So you're saying let's talk about it? Yeah. Hey, Gatriel 967A, thanks for joining. You feel sorry for the babies? Yeah, that's my thing. That's why I'm saying, like, if somebody asked me, I would be more than happy. I mean, you take with it what you want, and you decide to do with that information what you want to do. But I most certainly will, because these children are already going to have to deal with a lot as it is. And, kids in school are not very nice. And so, if they're going with their hair looking all crazy and stuff like that, and they get teased and all that other stuff, I mean, it's not their fault. They didn't ask to be born like that. And so it's not fair for them. So I agree. I feel sorry for the babies that have to deal with that. So I will kind of look beyond the woman and think about the kids. Hey, Buckhorse, how you doing? So you think that sister is bitter? Well, she has been very public in saying that she won't even have a child with a Black man. just based on what she feels the statistics are as it relates to Black men. So I don't know if she's bitter or she's just not an advocate for only dating Black men, but she's been honest and said that she has very, very good Black men in her life. So she's really talking about the collective of Black men that she feels are just not the greatest. But my thing is this: every race, they are not good. They're good and bad. So, the folks that are men that are married to Black women also abandon. It's not only Black women, Black men. If we want to talk about abandonment, there are a lot of, as I said, interracial relationships have the highest rate of divorce, and it's not only Black men and white women; it's also Black women and white men. So it swings both ways. Yes, Tyrone. Thank you. I am. So you also think that Keisha is bitter. You're calling her Keisha. So you're saying that you think that the white woman wanted to know how to be a single mother. Oh, okay. Well, she is a single mother, and she's talking about being single and raising them alone. Uh, so you're saying he's more generous than a father would be. The son is lucky. Well, yeah, because I don't know a lot of fathers who will stand outside a nightclub and wait for their son. They won't. I mean, I don't know very many. I know for me personally, I wouldn't want to stand outside. I wouldn't want my kid in a club, period. But there are some parents that will do that. They really are, because they feel like, okay, I would much rather make sure my son is safe. So let me drive him home. Let me drive him there and drive him home. And some people may think that you're encouraging your kid to party, but I mean, again, when they get to a certain age, you can't control what they do. So this father's like, I will at least be there for him in that regard. That was new to me, though. I have not seen that very often at all. So you're saying the legacy of dads, looking back, I can see all kinds of mistakes that I made. I wish I had been more patient with my kids and more understanding of what they were going through. Oh, thank you for sharing that, Malak Malcolm. I really appreciate you sharing that. Well, I hope that you have, created a better relationship. And, listen, no parent is perfect, right? Just because you're a parent, it doesn't mean you're perfect. There's no perfect person. So we're all going to make mistakes. And of course, there's times where we can be more patient. Even with our pets, you make mistakes. So hopefully, you can look back, reflect, and you have a better relationship with your children. And I do think relationships with children are very important. I mean, my parents have been married for 60, going on 64 years. So I come from a two-parent household. And it doesn't say it didn't come without its drama and ups and downs and, stuff like that. But I do feel like, having a two-parent household is the best formula for sure. But not a two-parent toxic household. There's a fine line. But so you're saying stay faithful and strong, brothers. God bless you. Amen. Exactly. And I would assume you're talking about the brothers that were behind bars, and then of course the one praying for his son, and also the one that was outside the club. Absolutely. Our kids need their daddies for sure. You're saying, why don't we talk about marital issues? Yeah, we certainly can talk about marital issues. And actually, you can also tune into the Philip Scott Show and podcast, where there's a lot of information about relationships. So subscribe to that as well. But we certainly do talk about it. You're saying she never considered that the white woman could have come from a broken home also. Possible, because as I said, it's not only Black homes that are broken. There are a lot of homes from all different races that are broken. Thank you, Super, for the offer. Composure, yeah, Buck Horse, you're laughing. Uh-huh. So you're saying stop bunny hopping. Well, listen, people will love who they want to love. The heart wants what the heart wants. My point is that if you choose to date outside your race, you should make sure that you educate yourself on that race, on that culture. Because you need to be there for your kids for sure. And thank you so much, Super Kev. Appreciate it very much. So you recognize where she's from by her accent. Uh, Thank you so much, Count One. About chorus, yeah. When kids are nice at school, even that starts at home. That is true. Because a lot of it is learned behavior for sure. The bullies and all that other stuff and the anti Black racism that our students go through, it's learned behavior for sure. So you said, so this mother only became aware of race when she had, well, that's what I think, because I feel like oftentimes a lot of these women that are the folks are on social media, and I'm seeing that more and more as well. Is that they're talking about, I'm so sorry. I just realized that I'm racist. Now that I have these biracial children, I'm now seeing where I went wrong. Brother Theo and I just did one last Friday about that, where it was one of the folks who was saying, "Hey, I realized the error in my ways and I'm educating myself." And she too was asking for tips from Black people on what else she can do to learn. So yeah, I agree. I feel like this woman is really seeing it through the lens of her children. I do. Um She will figure it out somehow. Well, look, in this day and age, there's so many resources. I mean, there's so many resources. There's so many places you can go. There's so many books. There's so many groups. There's so much of things that didn't exist back in our day. Well, me anyway, I'm dating myself, but back in my day, back in the 70s, 80s and stuff, there wasn't all of these resources. There just wasn't. So that she definitely can figure it out. She doesn't need to go to this woman. So you're saying Keisha is a character labor reducing African American women from ghetto culture down to stereotypes, a form of self hatred and internal division. Well, listen, I've seen quite a bit of her content, and there are some things I don't agree with, for sure. But it's her content. She's got a massive following. There are a lot of Black women that agree with her. So you're saying only a sister can give you a read. I mean, she said you should have listened to your daddy. And I agree with that to some extent, because I do think that there are a lot of the folks who sometimes pretend that they're happy that their child is with a Black man or a Black woman, but behind closed doors, that's not the narrative that's being spun. And I know that also from being exposed to it within my family. Okay. So you said your white neighbor was so geeked to take his now 21-year-old son to a joint, and one of those joints, but he didn't realize his son is, ooh, all right. That must not have been a fun revelation. That's a responsible father picking up his son from a nightclub. I think it's responsible too. I just hate the fact that, his son is in clubs and he felt like he had to stand out there. But I do love the fact that there was this street preacher out there that prayed with him and prayed for his son, and that, his father's hopeful that his son will get it out of his system. So you say, I and my brother were raised by our dad as a single father. Yeah, and that's the other thing. We can't sleep on single fathers. There's a lot of single fathers out here too. And some of the reasons why there are single, moms, it also could be they're widowed. It also could be they're divorced. It all can also could be that it's long distance, so they're not seeing, dad's not around. Some dads are in the military. You don't see them until they are discharged, or whatever. There's so many reasons, so it's not just they're just abandoned. So I feel like a lot of this data could be fragmented because it doesn't really speak to all of the variables, right? But I loved seeing the number, like over 50% that are not abandoning their children. So starts at home. Yep. Hats off to your dad. Yeah, thank you. So you said you watched a documentary a few years ago. Oh, about the men with their daughters. Yeah, that was so beautiful. That was very, very touching. Really, it was. Um, yeah, when you love your kids, you do incredible things for them. That is true. You will make those sacrifices. Like I said, I have a lot of male friends who are married, maybe not in the best of marriages, but they stick around for their kids. They're present for their kids. I have a lot of friends that are Black men that have their kids, and they are really the main um, caregiver, and they're the ones taking their children to all of their activities and stuff like that. And it swings both ways. And again, a single parent can be a father as well, who's maybe widowed, or for whatever reason the mom is not fit to be the primary caregiver and the father steps up. So, you know, I always say this when it comes to relationships that end, and you have children, you gotta you gotta love your kids more than you hate each other, and that's the best formula, so that your kid can still be well rounded and well adjusted, even if you're not in the same home, and both parents are present for their children. So one, you see your kid one weekend, and parents see the mom sees them the following weekend, but you just keep that consistency and that structure. And there's no reason why you can't do that. It's just, I feel like sometimes women get in their feelings and you're not going to see your kid. I'm going to make sure you don't. And then sometimes it's not safe for the child. So, there's so many things that can happen. But at the end of the day, um, as it relates to the folks who keep asking Black women for help, I'm here to help. If you want to know, if you want some tips, I'm more than happy to oblige. And that goes for my sisters-in-law as well, if they want to take that advice. But again, you can't expect it from all the sisters. Not every sister is going to be like, yeah, I'm happy to help you. That's your problem. And then to the ones who want to go on social media and bash Black women based on what some Black men are telling you, don't bother us when you want help. Why don't you go to the Black man who's feeding you all that negative information about us? Go to his family and ask them for help. I'm sorry for the babies, but you can't bash us and then want help from us at the same time. It just doesn't work that way. So you're saying, hi, Rodney. You're saying it's sad that the folks are still looking for us to rescue them from their errors. Yeah. Well, like I said, my immediate thought is the babies, but only to the ones that are really willing to learn and are really interested in knowing and how to take care of their kids, and how to get to that point where, if they identify some racism within them, then they're trying to do the work. I have no problem with those who are willing to do that inner work. No problem. I'm here for it. Because again, those kids and their reality will be different from theirs. And they're seeing that. And that's why they're reaching out for help. But again, I say, also reach out to the family, the Black side of the family of those kids. So you're saying the only tip you've ever given is please take your daughters to a hairdresser. If you can't do it yourself, at the very least, do that. I agree. And you said you hate when women keep their kids away from the fathers because they're bitter. Then that man moved on. It hurts the kids. Yeah, I agree. That's why I say love your children more than you hate each other. That's the formula. You got to find a way to do that. You don't have to have a relationship with the man if the relationship is done, but it's super important that your child has a relationship with their parent. And if you get married and you have a stepfather, fine. Bonus mom, bonus dad, as they like to call it, great. But they should still have a relationship with their biological father. I agree. Anyhow, family, thank you so much for tuning in with me today to talk about this topic. I hope you enjoyed it. And I will remind you all again, if you haven't done so already, please do so. Download the African Diaspora News Channel app from your Google or Apple store. I promise you, you won't be disappointed. It's a worthwhile investment, excuse me. And then also subscribe to my YouTube channel, Truth in Black Excellence with Emma Ansah. I'll be going live this evening at 7 p.m. And I'll see you tomorrow, same time, same channel. Wonderful topic. I shall see you then. Until then, please be safe, everyone. Peace be.